To do this, we're having to go to a top-secret location, far away from the glare of the media spotlight. Let's face facts, MudMen is a worldwide hit with an unprecedented amount of adoring fans. Steve's fame has skyrocketed. Why, only yesterday he was asked for his signature. It turned out that the chip and pin machine was broken. But this celebrity has come at a high price. Steve has a stalker.
I had this letter come through, yeah, and it was really thin writing on it.
Yeah. Spidery again?
Really spidery, yeah?
I've got... Look, all right, I'm going to get Dr. Michael, because it's quite a long schlep, yeah.
I need to bring Dr. Michael Lewis from the British Museum to our top-secret location. He's the deputy head of the Portable Antiquities Scheme, and he needs to record our finds. What he doesn't know, he's about to do that now.
Hey!
Where on earth did you come from?
Kiss the ice cream goodbye, Mikey.
No, I'm not.
It's finds time. Let's go.
Oh, where are we going this time?
It's a magical mystery tour, Doc. A magical mystery tour. Fast and furious drives, I'll take the points.
What's going on?
Dr. Michael says, Steve.
Oh, hi, Steve. You all right?
Hey, good. Yes, I got you a nice seat.
Oh, thanks.
There we go. Whoa, what a journey.
So where are the finds from this week, then?
Well, it's one of the best tables we've ever had.
Yeah.
It's also the largest table we've ever had of artefacts.
So where was it?
It was Abbey Creek, which is a sewage outlet.
It's a sewage
Oh,
outlet. We're
no.
right by a sewage outlet.
I'm a bit reluctant to touch stuff.
Well,
You've got
Have
to.
you- have you
You're
got-
from the BM.
oh, they've all been cleaned up, don't we?
Oh, they've been cleaned up.
Yeah,
that's
Steve
all right.
ran a hose over them.
Oh, I'm relieved for that. Well, I mean, what really kind of strikes me, really, is the number of spoons. Yeah, I mean, there's just loads and loads of spoons.
Steve, can I just ask you, why do you think so many people drop spoons down the carsey?
Do you know what, yeah? I should know this, yeah? But it's quite strange. Imagine that this outlet is not just from toilets.
Oh, right,
It's
okay.
also from roads and stuff.
Yeah.
But even then, yeah, you think, why do people drop...
Kitchen sinks, it's kitchen sinks. They slip down kitchen sinks.
Oh, that's a good idea.
And when you look at the amount of spoons that's on here, yeah? We've got apostle spoons.
Yeah.
Whoa. What's an apostle spoon? You can't just drop that in without explaining it to us, you know? We've got the right to know about these things. Right, viewers?
Well, if you look at the spoon, this is an apostle spoon here. And if you look at the end of it, yeah, one of the apostles is on there. So who does that look like to
Why
you?
would you have apostles on teaspoons?
They used to like them in medieval times, having apostle spoons, and I suppose it's something that later on, it just kind of was a device that was on spoons that people just kind of kept there, really.
What else we got, Mike?
We've got the shoe over here,
Yeah.
which is a weird thing, I guess, to fall down the toilet if this is what happened. But this is quite nice because it is a Victorian shoe. What they've used at the bottom is little kind of nails, really. I suppose the Romans did this as well, didn't they? The idea of having nails to kind of protect the leather at the bottom of the shoe.
I don't know. I haven't got any Roman shoes at home.
If you go to this museum, you'll see a few there.
Okay, thank
They
you.
had marching shoes, Caligula marching shoes.
And they had nails all over, but here, they've just put a few nails just to kind of preserve the sole. But it's a great find.
Is it a great find?
I think it is, yeah.
No, it's a good find. Yeah,
I'll tell you what I like about shoes is sometimes, in the Victorian period, but also before, is things like shoes, particularly, were hidden in kind of places in a house, you know, under the floorboards, behind chimneys, because they were believed to kind of, they were used as kind of like witch items or witch bottles, so evil spirits coming into the house would be deflected to go after the person's shoes rather than the person themselves.
Is that right?
What else do you like on the table, Mike?
Have a good look round, Mikey.
There's loads to choose from.
Yeah, we've got lots of toys. That's one thing that kind of occurs to me. We've got some lovely horses here. I mean, this one I really like. They're kind of like clock faces, two of them. When I first saw these reminded me of these like 17th century toys.
This brings it into play as well.
Yeah, that's the similar sort of thing.
To a certain degree, if that was a tiny bit smaller, you would think the same thing, wouldn't you? That was a 17th century toy.
And obviously in the Victorian period and periods before, I mean, richer children would have been able to have these toys that are purposefully made, where poorer children would have had things that they would have found and made do with, really. So I think the kind of quest this week, really, is to find out about the lives of poor Victorian children, their education, what sort of jobs they did, and what was life like in Victorian times.
That's an excellent quest.
Sounds good.
Brilliant. Thank you very much, Michael. I think you can find your own way home.
Can I?
And then my job's to get you here.
Do I go that way?
Doesn't really matter, Mike.
Yeah, OK, Michael, see you later,
See you
mate.
later, Mike.
I'm a bit worried about getting home, to be honest.
No, don't worry about it. Whichever way you go, you'll end up on the main road.
OK, thanks.
That's the advantage of doing these things on roundabouts.
Coming up, the MudMen go back to school.
Quiet, boys! No talking back in class.
We've been on a mucky adventure by a Victorian sewer outlet on Abbey Creek in East London.
Oh, yes! Tasty. That is tasty.
And our finds have set us off on a Victorian mission.
So there you have it. Dr. Michael Lewis of the British Museum has set us this week's quest to find out what life was like for very poor Victorian children. Enter that poor Victorian child.
Oi, oi!
Steve, good Lord, you look ridiculous. Steve's going to get himself an education at the Ragged School Museum in Copperfield Road here in London's East End. This school was originally set up by Dr. Bernardo in Victorian times, so Steve's really going to get a feel for the authentic education they would have had back then. Steve, how do you feel?
It's not just me going in there, it's you as well.
No, I'm not going to dress up like this, Steve. I've got to do a serious interview with, I'm like a historian now. I've moved beyond that.
This is serious, mate.
I'm not doing it. I'm not doing it.
Get that top off.
I'm not doing it.
And you can be a 4'2" Victorian
Don't
kid.
you
Get in
stop
there.
touching me. I'm going to get in first anyway.
During Victorian times, education was mainly for the privileged, and poor children faced a life of hardship and exploitation. But ragged schools like this were set up by philanthropists in the working class districts of Britain's rapidly expanding industrial towns and cities. They provided free education, food and clothing to poor and destitute children.
Can't believe you've made me dress like this, Steve. It's ridiculous.
You boys, it's 1882. Sit down.
Is she serious, Steve?
I thought it was 10 past 2.
She can't be serious. She's actually quite fine. I can't get in.
You're in Miss Perkins' class now. I expect you to be sitting up straight throughout my lesson. I do not want to see any folded arms. I do not want to see any elbows on desks. That's considered very rude behaviour. When you're not writing, your hands will remain in your laps at all times. We shall now concentrate on our currency. I have 2 pennies. How many farthings do I have if I have 2 pennies?
8, miss.
Do not speak out of turn, boy. You, boy, you tell me how many farthings I have.
8 farthings, miss.
Thank you. Quite correct.
Most poor Victorian children did not go to school during the week. Instead, they had to earn money for their family, working long hours in tough conditions. It wasn't until 1870 that a law was passed stating that all children aged between 5 and 10 had to attend weekday school.
How many pennies do I have if I have a 2-shilling piece?
Is it 12, miss? Or
It
10?
is not.
No, it's not.
Do not ask me questions, boy.
Sorry, miss.
Unacceptable behaviour.
Sorry, miss.
Yes, sir.
He's passed wind as well.
I haven't.
You have.
Steve Brooker.
Unacceptable behaviour.
Brooker's a sneak.
I will send you home, which is the worst thing you could possibly do in this school.
Brooker's a sneak. Miss.
Quiet!
It was he five.
Quiet, boy! No talking back in class. You shall wear the dunce's cap. Take off your cap. Appalling behaviour. And you, boy, are slouching. Stand up. Put the back straightener on.
Hit him with it.
Not good enough.
Sorry.
Good. Stand there. Let us move on to geography. Repeat after me. Great Britain is the largest island in Europe.
Great Britain is the largest island in Europe.
Queen Victoria is our queen.
Queen Victoria is our queen.
And that is the end of our lesson.
Oh, very good. I've got to tell you, it was quite... Was that really how it was?
Probably a lot stricter, I would think.
How many kids would have gone to school? Would everyone have gone to school?
Not everybody would have gone to school. No, a lot of children had to stay at home to look after younger siblings, and a lot of children had to go out to work.
And what kind of thing would they have done?
Street sweeping, mudlarking, chimney sweep, and of course, children in the country, they were put to work on the land.
I've done the mudlarking, I'm going to go and work on the land.
Well, I've got to go and see the headmaster.
Yeah,
So
you
there
need
we
to.
go.
Is it OK to leave, miss?
If you go quietly and with some decorum.
Could you... Miss, could you ask him never to come back? Bye,
See you
Steve.
later.
Right, Miss, may I go, please?
You may.
Do I still have to go and see the headmaster?
The headmistress.
OK. Well, thank you very much indeed. Thanks. Bye.
ragged schools provided some poor children with an education and the chance to escape poverty. However, the majority were exploited and forced to work, some as young as 5 years old, in order to support their families. There was no welfare state in Victorian times, and in the growing industrial towns and cities like London, poor children lived in terrible conditions. Childhood as we know it today was non-existent.
You must be the headmistress.
I'm afraid to say I'm not the headmistress, but I am the director of the Ragged School Museum.
I'm Johnny. Sorry about the walk. I'm on the whole Oliver vibe at the moment.
Oh, right.
What was life like for Victorian children?
Well, it all depended on whether you were rich, middle class or poor.
We're going poor.
Poor, tough, tough, tough. If you survived infancy, then you were lucky. If you managed to get a trade, you were even luckier. If you managed to get yourself out of poverty, then you were incredibly lucky.
What chance did you have of getting to the age of, I don't know, of becoming a teenager?
Some of the records of the Poor Union, as they call it, for Stepney.
Yeah.
And almost the first record you come to is of a woman who's had 15 children and only 5 survived.
OK.
So that's pretty scary.
When did things start getting really kind of tough for children?
Well, it was always tough if you were
Yeah.
poor, but here in the East End, you've got people really crammed together. You've got in sanitary conditions, you've got more than one family to a house, you've got an outside privy, you've got water from a pump that everybody's using.
Yeah.
So loads of people got communicable diseases such as cholera. London's population had doubled between 1831 and 51.
Yeah.
And Dr. Bernardo started his work with kids because he realised the desperate state of many of the kids in Victorian London who were having to find any job they could get. They would have to go to shopkeepers to see if they could sweep up. They'd be selling some matches, all sorts of things. So the other...
What other things can a kid do? I mean, obviously we know about mudlarking.
Yeah, the kids did that. Girls would sometimes do fish gutting down you know, where the fish were brought in.
How much food was around in general?
Well, again, the poor, I mean, one of the reasons why the poor die young is that they're so undernourished. And many of the kids that came here would be really, really
And presumably a lot of diseases associated with that, your rickets, all these deficiency diseases.
Lack of vitamins, exactly.
Do you know what? No wonder they're tough in the East End. I mean, really, to get through it all, it's a miracle. Thank you so much for talking to me. I'm going to go find out Stevens. Well, thank you very much indeed. Cheers. Take care. Thanks.
Have fun.
Thanks. Bye.
Bye.